In my hands I have three of the best looking players irons I have ever seen. The all new TaylorMade P7MB, P7MC and P770. Now I am absolutely head over heels for these things. I think they look absolutely stunning. I don't think any of you will disagree with just how good these irons look. And in this video I'm going to run you through each of the three designs, give you a good idea of the technology packed into each of them, who they're predominantly aimed at in terms of ability, and let you know how I got on after testing them out in the golf course and also using my SkyTrack to show you some numbers. There's a good chance that two of these irons are going to make their way into my golf bag. I'm that big a fan of them. But before I run into everything, if you're new to our YouTube channel, please hit that subscribe button below, give us a thumbs up if you enjoy this video, and if you have any questions, just leave them in the comments and I'll get back to you. First off, let's get started with the P7MB. Now this is replacing the P730 model from a few years ago, and it's a true muscle back design, a proper blade. And just look at it, it looks sensational. It's a real work of art. We've already seen the likes of Rory McIlroy and Charlie Hull put them in the bag. We'll probably see DJ and Colin Morikawa, basically any of TaylorMade's P730 players, switch over to the P7MB over the coming weeks and months. And I could just leave it there. I could just show you images of this beautiful iron, and I think a lot of you would be sold on it just by looking at how fantastic this thing is. But TaylorMade say there are some key improvements that are going to help you out in the golf course and also make this thing just feel that little bit better than the P730s it's replacing. One of the big talking points is TaylorMade's new compact grain forging process. Now it's also present in the P7MC irons. Basically TaylorMade are now using a 2,000 ton press to forge these irons. They say this is 2 to 3 times the normal pressure that you would find in the industry, and what that means is that they're able to focus on the microstructure of the material, get it more compact, the grains within it more compactly forged, to give it better feel, to just make the tolerances that little bit tighter, and just make this thing feel absolutely sensational at impact. As you can see, we've got this new back bar design that just looks stunning in the bag. It's also going to place weight in behind the hitting zone just to give you that nice crisp feel. We've got very aggressive score lines, very aggressive grooves here that are going to give you the kind of control and spin you would expect of a blade. And the shaping is actually taken from DJ's current irons, the protos that he uses. So the blade length is a little bit longer than the P730s, and also a little bit of offset has been shaved off, a little bit less offset. That was something Rory McIlroy wanted to see. And yeah, you know, I don't think there's really much else to say. This is a true forged blade. It's forged from 1025 carbon steel. It's going to feel sensational. It looks just... to be honest, I think it is the best looking blade I've ever seen, and yeah, just an absolutely stunning muscle back. Next up, the P7MC. Now this is replacing the P750 that was released I think about 4 years ago, and I think this was something that people were really crying out for on tour, and also a lot of, you know, better players were looking for the next P750, and here we have it. It's the new P7MC. Again, you know, I could just leave it by putting images up on the screen showing you how good this iron looks, but again, you know, some improvements over the P750 to give you better feel and some really great performance. So we've got compact grain forging. Again, that's just going to improve the feel and the quality of these irons. As you can see, we've got this back bar design here. You know, again, that's just placing more mass in behind the impact zone, so that when you do strike out the middle, these things just feel sensational. In terms of the shaping, it's pretty much an exact carbon copy of the P750. So if you were looking down at this and looking down at P750, you probably wouldn't be able to tell the difference. But of course, this new design at the back here, with the wee T-bug forged into the back there, it just looks so premium. It looks so smart. Now this is a bit of a cavity back design, a wee sort of tour cavity, so it is going to offer a little bit more forgiveness than the blades, and you'll likely see guys like John Ram, Bob McIntyre, and plenty of others who played the P750 switch over to these. And yeah, so when you put it up side by side with the P7MB, these are two of, if not the best looking players forged, you know, bladed, proper ball strikers irons that I've ever seen, and yeah, they just look sensational. Now onto something a little bit different, the P770. And the easiest way of wrapping your head around this iron is that it is the P790's little brother. Pretty much everything about this iron is the exact same. The construction methods, the materials used within it, they are pretty much bang on the exact same, but we have a sleeker, more compact package. Now, if you've ever tried the P790, you'll have a good idea of just how well it performs. For something that is relatively compact with a thin top line, looks like a player's iron, it offers such great distance and forgiveness, great feel thanks to the speed foam technology, ball speed because of the through slot speed pocket. Everything about it just absolutely phenomenal. However, I think that some people who really like a true classic player's look down at a dress would maybe just be put off ever so slightly by the fact that it is a little bit larger than something like the P7MB or the P7MC. So for that reason, we have the P770. This thing is just a little bit more compact, a little bit sleeker, cleaner, a little bit of a smaller head shape. But other than that, it's pretty much the exact same. Through slot speed pocket, speed foam technology, a hollow body design, fast force faced, everything about it pretty much the exact same. We've got tungsten weighting in there to help with your launch and forgiveness, but it's a little bit smaller. So you're going to get the same kind of performance, a little bit less forgiveness because it is a smaller package, but still, it just looks fantastic. And now you've got a really great option if you want something a little bit sleeker, more compact than the P790. Another thing worth noting is just how well each of these new irons, along with the P790, marry up. Aesthetically, they look fantastic, and that means that you can split set these very easily. TaylorMade are very happy for you to do that. I think you'll be seeing a lot of the pros do it. Me, myself, I'm pretty certain that I'll want to go for a split set of the P7MCs and the P7MBs. And you can adjust the loss where you need to if you have to, because there are some slight differences there. But as you can see, they all marry up really nicely, so split sets are going to be a big thing for those of you who want to test out these irons. Now, to try and paint you a picture of the differences in performance between these three new irons, I'll run through the numbers I got with my Skytrack earlier on. I tested all three 6 irons using the same KBS Tour 130X Flex shaft and all using Pro V1 golf balls. So you can see the ball speed, we're gradually climbing up from 125 with the P7MB to 126 with the MC and 128 then with the P770. What you would expect to see getting a little bit more ball speed as we work up through this lineup, and getting most ball speed with the P770 thanks to that hollow body design giving me more ball speed. Launch angle stays roughly the same for all three. They're 6 irons, so 15 degrees is what I would expect. You can see the spin is pretty much the exact same for both the MB and the MCs. Not really surprising. These are tour ready irons. They are designed for the best ball strikers, so they're going to offer fairly similar benefits in terms of performance, with the MC being a little bit more forgiving. When we go to the P770, you can see that spin rate's dropping down quite a bit. We're now at 5,705. What that then means for carry is the MB is at 178, MC at 180, a couple of yards extra, and then we jump up to 185 with the P770. As you can see, the heights are all very similar, the descent angle all very similar, so the ball flights are very similar in a lot of ways, but the hollow body construction of the P770 is giving me that little bit extra in terms of speed and performance. Now, it's also worthwhile looking at the numbers with the P790, because of course there'll be plenty of you who are wanting to split set P770 with P790, maybe even P790 with the P790 tie. We've got lots of options in this lineup. You can see the ball speed jumping up a little bit again, we're now at 130, launch angle again 15, spin dropping down, and the average carry is now 190 yards, so 12 yards longer than the MBs. That's what I expect. This is packed with so much technology, so much forgiveness, that it is going to give me longer carry distances on average, but it's also getting about 5 yards more than the P770, so it will be a little bit longer. But these are, as I say, the P7MB and MC, proper tour ready forged players irons, designed with the best ball strikers in mind, tour players, people who can consistently flush it out the middle. The P770, with its more compact package than the P790, slightly weaker loss, is still going to perform fantastically well, very forgiving and very long. And then we go to the P790, it's just going to be what we expect from this club. Now, probably the most popular player's distance iron on the market. Great speed, great launch, low spin for lots of distance and lots of forgiveness. So that's the numbers, and hopefully that's painted a little bit of a better picture on how each of these 4 models differ. Now, as soon as I laid eyes on these irons, I was blown away, and when I took them out on the golf course, you know, I just fell in love even more. Now, with the blades, these are, you know, as I say, proper blades. Only pure ball strikers need apply. These things they feel fantastic, they're so workable, they look sensational, but when you, especially for me, when I got into the longer irons, you know, there's not a great deal of forgiveness there. There's not going to be, it's a proper blade, but the feel on offer is absolutely sublime. With the P7MCs, that little bit of added forgiveness in the long irons was something I really enjoyed. At the moment, I currently play a split set of Mizuno MP18s with the blades and the split cavities. And I've tested a lot of irons out in the last 2 years since I've had them in the bag, but I've not really considered changing. Now, for a blade and a proper forged muscle cavity, it's all about how the irons make you feel. And I'm not just talking about the sensation down at impact, it's that kind of that feeling in your gut of, I just love these things. When you pull them out of the bag, when you place them down behind the ball, when you strike it sweet, everything about them, they just have that kind of X factor. And these players' irons, these have got it. That's why these are, I think they're going to be in my new gamers. I'm almost certain that they're going in my bag. I love them that much. So the new compact grain forging, I think, just means that these are some of the best feeling irons you'll ever lay your hands on. They look sensational in the bag, they look great down behind the ball, and yeah, they're proper players irons. And yeah, I can't really say much more about them. Definitely worth having a hit for with yourself. I don't think many of you watching this will be able to get the most out of these irons, but yeah, they're just, we would all love to be able to game a full set of the blades, or even, you know, a lot of us would love to be able to game a full set of the MCs, but we're maybe not quite good enough. But if you do get the chance to have a hit with these, be careful, because they're that good that you might end up convincing yourself that you're good enough to play with them. So just be careful there. But yeah, just absolutely sensational. Then on to the P770. Now, you know, as I said earlier, the performance on offer with the P790 really impressed me, both with the first iteration and the second one that was launched last year. And the fact that we're getting similar kind of performance, great distance, forgiveness, launch, all of that, but in a more compact package, is something I'm really keen on. I like, obviously, that player's look down behind the ball, and I think a lot of the lower handicap bracket, you know, from sort of scratch up to high single figures, maybe low teens, those of you who really liked P790 but maybe thought, oh, I'd rather be playing something a little bit more traditional in terms of how it looks, then this is going to be a fantastic option. You know, launches the ball up in the sky really easily. The forgiveness low on the face is fantastic. Now those ones, you know, certainly the blades and the MCs, especially the blades, they let you know when you've caught it a bit thin. Wouldn't be nice on a cold winter morning. Whereas that through slot speed pocket along the speed foam means that you're getting great feel and great distance and forgiveness on those low struck miss hits. And yeah, it's just going to be a little bit more forgiving, give you a little bit more help, but make no doubt it looks and feels like a player's iron. So yeah, I think, you know, these are some of the most impressive irons I've ever seen from TaylorMade. No, the most impressive. You know, TaylorMade's players irons in the past haven't quite done it for me. They've always been really good, but they haven't just quite had that little feeling, that little extra edge, and certainly now they do. It's the looks, it's the feel, it's the performance, everything about them. I am absolutely in love. And yeah, I think, you know, I'd be hard pressed to see any of you pick these up in a shop and not absolutely fall in love with them at first sight. So let me know what you think of these new irons. Is it just me? Have I got it all wrong? Or do you think that these are absolutely sensational like I do? If you have any questions about them, just leave them in the comments and I'll get back to you. Do not forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. If you've enjoyed this video, please hit that like button, and thank you very much for watching.